looking to, as this being a part of a way to do away with that mathematical piece of credits, we then begin to focus more on learning. And then at that time, we certainly would have conversations, again, about things like grading. And I know before, at a previous meeting, another board member mentioned looking at the possibility of changing our grades to include pluses and minuses. So there's a whole, frankly, I hope this becomes a conversation piece for some time to come, because I think many of us believe it's been a long time coming to have a conversation of this magnitude. But this is, again, just one piece. And again, the social component of all this is huge. It's huge in life, and even bigger in high school, because many students are not ready emotionally to handle that type of pressure. And if we can make it more about the learning and the work that they're doing in their classes versus how to take the right course at the right time in the right place to give myself more credits, I think that actually gives advantage to learning and makes it a little bit more of an educational experience. And again, I think I heard the word savvy mentioned, I heard gamesmanship, and whatever else we want to call it. And sure, that's definitely a part of it, because in life, there's if you're informed, knowledge is power, and I fully acknowledge that. But I'd rather see students putting their time and their energies and into their achievements in the classroom, versus, again, trying to figure out where to place the pieces. And again, this also involves, you're looking at students who have parents that are fully engaged and involved in their educational process, and students who do not. And unfortunately, not all students have that. And in our business, and what we do on a day-to-day basis, is to serve the best we can all of those students. And again, I just want to refocus on the idea of the credits, and some students look to take dual enrollment, and I think one area that I know I can speak for the high school administration, we are looking for ways to expand dual enrollment. It's one thing to have a relationship with Bucks County Community College, but I think it'd be wonderful to grow relationships. We're in a very unique position in our school district and our county. There's several colleges within striking distance that we could create dual enrollment programs with. But again, in the current system, students would look and say, well, how many credits am I going to get? Would I still do better if I take this course here? And yet, I think as many of us would guess, taking an actual college course might be something that would be very worthwhile for students. And I'd hate to see a student making a decision that would send them in the direction of taking a course for the sake of how much credit versus here's a real course they can take. Maybe it's partially online or blended or whatever through Lehigh or DeSales or Arcadia or whatever it might be, and of course through the community college. And then of course the last piece with the Upper Bucks students. And that's not in any way to diminish any of the work that they do. Their work is phenomenal. It's just not the same type of academic, it's not on the same type of academic path that students who wish to go on to colleges and such would run.
Can you go forward about three sheets there? I want to see what you said there. Where it says some of the smaller schools and college campuses. It's about 3
Slides?
It would be 5 or 6. I just looked past it too quickly. Slide 5. Why has class rank declined in significance? And it says many small and high-performing schools have done away with class rank.
Read that first bullet point. That is disgusting.
Well, I would agree that, again, I would never want to make a decision to, for lack of a better word, to penalize students who have worked hard. Because life is competitive, and I know, just my own curiosity, I would still want to know. okay, I'm in the top 10%, but really, but what number was I? And you're going to have kids who are going to want to know, and I'm sure that they're probably going to find out. Dr. Bolton, I don't know, I just wanted to, I was with Dr. Bolton this afternoon, so I asked, as he's our incoming superintendent, about this, because Central Bucks is one of the school districts that does not use class rank any longer, and they employ a system of recognizing the honors, the summa cum laude
Sure.
and
Yep.
magna cum laude. And
Sashes.
so, I mean, I would be okay with that, but I also would want to, the policy, that 214, and looking at how everything's computed. So is this something that, if we did all of that, with all of those things and had that conversation, is it really something, or you want to implement this for the class of 2021? So would we still put this forward and approve it at this next board meeting if we wanted to have all those other things included, those discussions?
Thank you, Mrs. Cullen. If the board would like all the specifics written down, I mean, we certainly are considering strongly using the system. If you want all of those particulars before you move this to motion, we can do that. We will do that. We are talking about moving this to the class of 2021. So it isn't something that has to be done right now. And if you would prefer that you want it all written down, saying how you're calculating it and what will the honor system actually be, we certainly are willing to do that. The policy absolutely would have to be changed.
Lisa, if you have, I mean, there's only 3 of us here tonight, and we have one who is strongly against it, and I want to hear more, and I wouldn't want to say, let's bring this to June, because I know there's going to be a lot of conversation about it. Right, so I don't want you to go through that effort and then have it fail. So what is your thought, Lisa?
I think we should wait and have more conversation. I just don't feel like there's enough.
Can you speak up? I can't even hear you.
I'm sorry. I would feel more comfortable waiting and not putting it on our next board agenda.
Could I just ask for clarification on, then we would have a list of what you would like us to add to make sure that this is concrete, that you know, have all of your questions answered, so we could have those questions, so that we would be able to come back and just say specifically this is what it is, and maybe we would be able to do that, do that at our next meeting. Correct.
Curriculum meeting. Okay. So, Dr. Nair, could you provide your questions and what you would like to Mr. Chibati and Dr. Scheid?
Yes, I can certainly do that. I would add that one of the reasons why credits was added to this system back when Dr. Zielinski was here was because at that point, students manipulated the GPA by not taking courses. We had a lot of study halls, which many of us did not think was a particularly positive concept. And I would hope that we do not go back to that situation where some of our best students take 4 AP courses and nothing else, so they have a 4.8 grade point average in their senior year. Because the credits aren't the important thing anymore.
Okay, so, and then I will ask the other board members as well, if they have concerns that they'll need to get the questions, and I'll ask for it to be today's Monday? Sorry, I lost my, so I would ask for them to get them to me in the next couple of days, so that you have some time to look at what the questions are and the concerns are. I do want to go back to what you said about the dual enrollment. I know from personal experience, my own child said, no thanks to dual enrollment because he didn't like the impact that it would have on him here at the school. So that is something to consider. Dual enrollment is something I think we should explore better because it offers students, I mean, not to be crass, but it can save you a lot of money. My niece is going to graduate from high school with an associate's degree essentially, so you know that's going to put her on a different footing. So if this is part of that, I would like to explore that more.
Yeah, just 2 things if I might. Number 1, thank you for continuing this conversation. It's an important conversation. And if it results in something even better, I think that would be great for our kids. And in terms of the dual enrollment, I really believe in, and I know we've had conversation with high school administration and the other curriculum supervisors, that'll be a great opportunity for kids, and we'd like to see them make, we'd like to gain partnerships with other universities, because that to me is almost like an academic internship or an academic apprenticeship, because that's like you're really in a college class and you're following their rules, and that's, sometimes, and again, sometimes, in some circumstances, when they're looking to enter or gain admission to college, that can be looked at in a different light than, say, an AP course where you still took essentially a high-level high school class with college material versus actually taking a college class. And I think, again, a school this big, having those type of options evened out, I think would be great.
Okay. Well, I guess we have what we're going to do, and we'll hold off putting it on the agenda for June, but we will get all of the concerns to you in a timely manner so that you can work on it. But thank you for the effort. And then you have the next item too, the 6th grade ELA pilot.
I have 2 items, so maybe I get one through.
Give it your best
This
shot.
one's, I think, a little easier for everybody. Okay, as you might know, as you already know, we have been running, or I should say the elementary folks led by Steph Washam and Dr. Wiley at East Westbrook. I'm going to say East Rock Hill, that's like a school that doesn't exist. West Rock Hill Elementary have been running a pilot with Being a Writer. It's a writing and language arts program in their entire building. It's been very successful, and a lot of great feedback has come out of that. And simultaneously, we've been reviewing our needs at middle school for a lot of reasons, to continue to revise and renew the curriculum and to provide a learning environment for students that's going to be meaningful. And in our 6th grade currently, we kind of divide things up a little bit. We have language arts, which is writing and those types of skills in one place, and then we have reading and those type of literacy skills in another place. And we have a lot of teachers who really want to do what's best for students, but it's kind of a little vague at times, to be honest. And the Being a Writer program that is now going to be implemented in the elementary schools as a whole is actually a K-6 program. And so it seems to be a great fit. And I'm just going to take a minute to run through some of the points just to refresh your memory as to why that we saw that as a valuable endeavor in the first place. The first slide talks about the process. Sorry, I'm clicking it on mine, not yours. The first slide talks about the process and how we came up with Being a Writer in this program in the Center for the Collaborative Classroom. Teachers reviewed different programs, and they came up with Being a Writer and another program that'll be piloted as well in the elementary level called Making Meaning, which is the reading side of things. Initially, some of the bigger reasons why this was selected was that there were some insufficiencies with the current programs existing in elementary. And of course, we have similar needs in 6th grade. So a lot of the needs, whether it was about programs or lack of programs, were very similar in what we were seeing in terms of the skill deficits we were getting back from some of the data and some of the assessments that we were doing. Being a Writer also offers some very important pieces that we looked at closely. As you might know, to be a writer, you have to practice. You have to do it a lot. It's not necessarily always formulaic. You have to spend some time writing some things and kind of exercising your writing muscles. But then there also needs to be some foundational pieces like the 6 and 1 traits of writing. And also along the way, we can't ignore things like grammar and conventions and things like that. And this program seems to blend them all together in a way that is favorable to get students motivated to write and to actually become better writers. Additionally, there's a component that focuses on the collaborative piece of writing and helping each other become better writers and making that a more comfortable process. The program, as it is with the elementary, is aligned to our PA Cordial standards, and they provide a good balance of those standards a lot of times, as you can imagine. Many programs tend to focus on the reading and writing aspect, but forget some of that grammar and usage and linguistic component, and also sometimes don't always include the speaking and listening parts of it. And I'm talking about the overall program, not just being a writer. Again, the two arching goals for being a writer, as they are in the elementary, really don't change. We want students to write a lot, and we want them to do so with skill and creativity, and blending all those together makes it most effective. And we also want students to learn to work together to improve their writing. There is not any examples, at least that I can think of or find, where writers don't ask other people for help. And even the best writers have some of the best editors and revision. And if you ever open up a great book in the beginning, usually there'll be acknowledgments to all kinds of people, and many of them are people that review the text of a great writer. We don't often think about that, but people who we look at as being great writers have great teams of people helping them and collaborating with them on their writing. So why continue it in 6th grade? The current feedback and the success of the pilot at West Rock Hill has been, frankly, I've been hearing about it all year. And finally in March, after the fall, I'm meeting with 6th grade teachers to talk about data and what we can do programmatically. Teachers were ready and willing to say, let's look at some programs. Let's see what we can really do to really step up in our 6th grade area. And I started looking myself at researching some programs. And then I had a conversation with Stephanie Washam, and I never knew it was a K-6 program until she pointed that out to me. And I said, let's really take a good look at it. We had some conversations with the people from the company, and I'm really excited to present this, to continue this pilot in the 6th grade. Simultaneously, we want to have a better program, better curriculum in 6th grade, and we also want to address writing needs. I think we all agree on that, and this can do that, help us with that. And again, that natural, right now, we have a pilot group that is walking out of West Rock Hill into 6th grade, and then next year, we'll have an entire 5th grade walking out of all the elementary schools into middle schools, at which time, if we were to go forward after the pilot into the program, it would be this natural continuity between the 5th and 6th grade levels. And as you know, it's always a challenge in a school district to make that continuity between the elementary and middle, and then of course the middle and the high school. And this is programmatically sound, and it would help us with that, especially in the literacy area. And again, it also provides a strong foundation, so as we look at 7th grade and 8th grade curriculum, we can look at this solid program that terminates in 6th grade and pull some of the best of and say, what really worked for kids, what types of practices work for kids, and we can, sure enough, we can pull those into 7th and 8th grade. I skipped over the slide with the Learning Hub. You can go back to that if you want to. That's just some of the features of their resources, which are impressive as well. So to determine if this is working, obviously, talking with teachers. When you do a pilot, you have to be able to talk to teachers, ask them how it's working. We can also review all the assessments that are provided through the program, and then we can assess confidence of teachers and how they feel about their writing, their ability to teach writing. And again, 6th grade has had some challenges over the years in that you have this mix of teachers who are well-versed in literacy practices and teachers who are more content-based, and they kind of have to come together and make it work in 6th grade. And having a program like this really, I think, brings them all together. And again, reading and writing is the type of thing that feeds into all content areas, so it benefits everyone in that way. Additional information, the pilot itself will involve about 6 teachers and about 300 students. That might be a little less or a little more depending on how many sections or which sections in each of the 3 buildings are selected to do that. There's no cost for the pilot group. And that includes the training. In that regard, it's also easy. We're just going to tag along with the 5th grade training, who are all learning it new as well, not the pilot group, but the existing 5th grade teachers who haven't or who are not at West Rock Hill will be going through the program new. So our 6th grade teachers will join them in their training very soon, and then in September, and then again throughout the year with regular curriculum meetings to discuss progress and things like that. Another advantage of doing this is that this immediately promotes connection and collaboration between 5th grade and 6th grade teachers. As you know, we're about 10 or 11 years out of a model where our elementary schools were K through 6, and a lot of those relationships still exist. So many of those teachers are excited to reconnect with those colleagues, and we certainly will rely on the expertise of the K to 5 group to help our 6th grade teachers in this pilot, and then if it works out, moving on into the program in full in 6th grade in the 1920 school year, if it works out that way. I'm sorry, any questions?
Anyone have any questions? Please.
I just have a couple comments. I used to teach in the district in 2011, and this was an issue back then. This is like a long time coming. Thrilled to see this. I stopped over at West Rock Hill in April and went in 3 classrooms and observed it in action, and I could have cried. When I taught in 2011 in Pennridge, Amy Kratz was the literacy coach at the time. She's back at Gook now. And she came over to my classroom several days a week and helped me co-teach writing. She inspired me to go become a Polk Fellow, so I'm in the Pennsylvania Writing and Literature Project. And that's also something that I think a lot of our teachers are lacking being a part of within this school district. When I taught in Souderton, a lot of teachers in Souderton are certified Polk Fellows, and I was certified by 2 Central Bucks teachers, and I know that's huge in the Central Bucks school district as well. So with this program coming to Pennridge and seeing that writing is going to be improved in our elementary schools and even in 6th grade, I'd like to also encourage a lot of our teachers to look into some of that professional development for them, because it was a life-changing experience for me as a teacher. And in 16 days, it taught me more than anything I ever learned in my college courses, and really inspired me to be a better teacher of writing. So I know Stephanie's awesome as well, so I have a feeling we'll get that rolling after we get the pilot in, but this is wonderful.
Thank you. Thank you for your comments. We have been discussing Polk Fellows. We do have some Polk Fellows in our district, and the professional development is absolutely essential with any new program that we bring in. We have been fortunate to have excellent professional development this year. We saw some of the results at West Rock Hill. But I strongly support that as well, and I know Mr. Duplicky does too, and certainly Stephanie does, so we will be seriously considering that too. Yes, thank you.
My favorite question, specifically as always, what do we give up to fit this into the teaching day? Because it obviously isn't something that expands to accept new curriculum.
It goes into existing classrooms, so what we would be giving up would be what's currently going on there. That at this point is sometimes inconsistent. So I don't know that there's a downside in terms of piloting this, because it's not like it's something totally different. It's writing skills, it's grammar, it's those type of literacy skills. So I don't know that there's there's necessarily something that we'd be giving up. Because again, in sixth grade, they have that two-pronged approach. They also have a reading class, so this would help us also to better organize that two-period approach that we have. So I think it's a win in many ways, frankly.
If I could just add to that, so we're not really giving up anything in sixth grade. We are enhancing what we currently do because the standards are there. We know what to teach. This is about how we're teaching it, and it's about providing the supports and the framework the teachers have been talking to us about, at least for the 4 years that I've been here. And we've just gotten to the point, or really at the tipping point, for stabilizing RELA at the elementary school. So when the discussions started to occur about sixth grade, again, and it isn't just in writing, it's also in reading, this is just the beginning of the work for literacy for the middle schools. So we're not giving anything up, but we are clearly going to enhance what we currently do, and we will be providing supports through the whole entire year for the teachers. And fortunately, we have teachers at West Rock Hill who have already gone through that program. So we will be having teachers helping teachers as well, Dr. Yano.
I don't have a question, I just have a comment about, I'm glad that you touched on the seventh grade, how you might pull it through seventh grade and eighth grade, because that was going to be my question, was if you're aligning it K through six, then how are you going to pull it through? So that's a plan. Okay, good. So is everyone okay then with this, the three of us going forward? So we'll go forward to the board meeting, Mr. Chaplicki. Thank you. Okay. So our next curriculum committee meeting is scheduled for September 10th, unless we add one to accommodate some needs for social studies. And then that brings us to public comment. Would anyone like to make a comment? Mrs. Furlong?
Sue Furlong, West Rock Hill Township. I never was a huge fan of the second grade swimming thing just because of the lost classroom time. I did the math while we sat there. You have 1,972 hours of lost classroom time when you take into account how many students you have. That was 7 weeks times 35 minutes, times about 483 students. That's like 3 classrooms in each elementary building times 23 kids. So anyway, it comes out to almost 2,000 hours of classroom time across the district that you're losing. I've always thought, quite frankly, I put this pitch in, I always thought that at the middle school, find out who still can't swim and make that a phys ed class for just those kids, because you're only now busing from 3 locations instead of 7, and North walks over, so there's no transportation costs there, and teach those kids how to swim at that point. I don't believe in not teaching them how to swim. I just think a more efficient way would be, many of them, like you said, 30% swim by the 2nd grade. So how many by the 7th grade? And then allow the ones that still haven't quite mastered it to revisit it in the middle school as a phys ed course. I think we should offer that. But anyway, I'll go back to my main complaint, or my main issue, I should say. Talking about a public dinner for acknowledgement for our excellent students. That's nice, but that doesn't help you in the admissions office. When he gave his presentation last time, class rank was still on the list of things that colleges look at. It was down to number 7, but that puts it in the top 10. I also don't understand, the statement is made that should a college request a rank, we will provide it. Well, that tells me we must be doing the math anyway. And quite frankly, if we have a flawed policy, we need to change that policy so that when the college does request it, it is an accurate or a better ranking system. So regardless of whether we decide to put that on our transcript or not, if we're still offering that information to admissions offices, then I think we need to redo our policy, and I think that it needs to be correct. I personally think that the students should be made aware of how they did, and I think most of them are going to want to know. I didn't like the attitude of, well, you know, it hurts learning, because they might choose this course instead of that course based on credits. You know, these people are just, in many ways, a year or two from adulthood, and we're still trying to intervene and make those kinds of decisions for them. That's between them and their parents. And if their parents aren't involved, you know, that's a hurt, but, you know, we do have counselors here. They can go to a counselor. And the other thing is, we talked about last time the savvy kids who have parents that will help them, or the savvy kid that's in or herself can figure this out. Why is it that we do not have a presentation by our academic counselors to our parents and our students in the incoming 9th grade to explain this system to them? Why do they have to figure it out themselves? Okay, there should be a handout, there should be a little pamphlet, there should be something on the website, there should be a presentation where people can answer or ask and answer questions. Why are we hiding what it takes to be successful at Pennridge? I don't understand that. They did that for my son's class where he went to high school. 9th grade, parents came in. Here's what your child needs to accomplish if they want to go to an elite college. Okay, so, all right. I don't want to hurt our kids. Like I said, we've got some things we need fixed, like our low SAT scores, our low performance profile. And I don't want to hurt our best students. And I think that rewards motivate. We're giving them the carrot. We need to give them we're giving them the stick by trying to push them down so that everybody's got a level playing field. No, you raise them up, you give them the carrot, you give them the reward, you motivate them. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for your comment. Does anyone else want to make a public comment? Sorry. The mouth, the face.
Did I get it?
Yep.
Hi, I'm Sharon Harbeck from Sellersville Borough, and I'm completely stepping out of my comfort zone because I don't stand in front of people and talk, but a few things. A couple comments that I didn't agree with, and I was writing things down, so I'm going to be a little convoluted, but valedictorians are not always the most successful people in life. There's a lot documented about that. Valedictorians have made it so that they can follow rules. That doesn't mean that they're going to be successful. It means that they can follow rules. The most successful people are the outside-the-box thinkers. They're not the people that we reward in the school district. We want to stuff everybody into that nice little round hole, and we have square pegs. So with that said, I actually do agree with Mr. Dublicki that class rank is not necessarily the be-all and end-all. A lot of schools have gone away from that. And I have kids that aren't going to be top, so it's not like I don't care. But anyway, so that's just something to think about, that there are other ways, there are other carrots that we can give these kids. I've seen kids that went outside the box and were punished for it, for doing more, for being more creative. Why would we punish kids for that? Or why would we make a kid that wants to go to college for special education take AP physics? There's no connection, so, figure out a way to make it make sense. And then my other comment was with regard to the second grade swimming. Second grade swimming, my daughter was the second class that did second grade swimming. She did it in September and October. That experience led her to go into the swim team. She was an elite swimmer until she was in late middle school. If she hadn't had second grade swimming, she probably wouldn't have. She ended up giving it up for other sports, but it was a great experience. And it gives kids who aren't academically excellent, but perhaps athletically excellent, an opportunity to be within their peer groups and experience success that they might not experience in those 284,000 hours that they're missing in classroom. So, and it gives kids an opportunity to get exercise, get out of the class, do something a little bit different. So I think it's worth it, but neither here nor there. And lastly, I wanted to thank Mr. Duplicki for changing his wording from effort to accomplishment in what we want to reward in our top 10%. The special education students that we have here, I can guarantee you, are putting forth as much, if not more, effort than those extremely bright kids that are taking the AP classes. So it's not effort that you want to reward, it's accomplishments. So that's it, thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay, go ahead. You need to state your name and municipality.
Hi, Robbie Fisher, West Rock Hill Township. I graduated only just 4 years ago. I just graduated last month from Temple University.
Congratulations.
Thank you. I wasn't fishing for compliments.
It's okay, we're proud.
Oh, and I was just thinking about my memories of class rank because they're a little bit more fresh in my mind, maybe. I remember maybe like a little bit of drama of like the people in the top of the class, like, oh, I thought like that person was number one, like number two, and everything. But that might be good in some ways, like it's that competitiveness that you want. But a lot of it really is also, it could be like arbitrary, like 1 versus 2. Those people both put in a lot of effort. Obviously, they're top of their class. But, you know, I'm not sure exactly where I'm going with this, but I was just wondering if the opinions of the students were taken into account, like the current students at all. I'm new to like the issue, obviously, so forgive like my ignorance, but I do think that their voices would be the most important to take into account. Whether it's like a small, loud minority percentage of the students that have an issue with this, or their parents or something, they obviously have to be listened to. But I think that everybody, I mean, all the students' opinions should be taken into account, because maybe some don't mind at all, and whether that means they wouldn't mind if it was taken away or they just don't really care. And maybe it has already been done already, but I'd like to see the students' thoughts be taken into account, including recently graduated from high school students, to see maybe if that affected how they got into college, how that affected if colleges reached out to them, or their applications or anything like that. But yeah, that's all I guess. And also, I wish that more people came to these like, smaller committee meetings, because compared to the bigger board meetings, I think you could see that a lot of it is like the nice, more boring stuff, which I think is better. All right, so thank you.
Thank you, boring is better.
Yeah.
Yay, nerds. No, but that is a great point, and I try to tell people that all the time. If you want to hear the discussion, come to a committee meeting, because that's where the discussion takes place, and by the time it gets to the board meeting, it's basically just a vote. So if you can help us spread that word, Robbie, we'd appreciate it. And I also did think about the students' thoughts, because I had a group of students in my house as I was leaving, and they said, well, I have a curriculum meeting. We're talking about, class rank and about possibly getting, eliminating it. And there was a half a dozen of them there maybe, and they needed to hear more about it. So I don't know how we would do that, but I was going to say, encourage them to come and hear the discussion, and maybe that's what we can tell students to come and hear the discussion, because there's so many details about it that I'm not sure that they would be aware of. So we can encourage them that way. Be involved. Does anyone else have any public comment? No? All right, well then I will adjourn the meeting. Thank you for coming. Maybe we'll see you in July. For curriculum.
Yep.